So I was playing LA Noire the other day, and I'd reinstalled it, having played or finished the game earlier, and I wanted to play another detective game, but I could really struggle to find any on Steam or elsewhere. You know, these sort of new wave detective games or puzzle game, these sort of games can be very interesting, very fun. Sherlock, with his stiff upper lip and casual yet remarkably astute personality, his debonair yet devilish persona will make any old boy of the British Empire proud to play this title for Queen and Country. Left, right, left, right. With that said, let's get on with this review of Sherlock Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
So this is the first of two games by Frogwares. Frogwares being the developer. Let's see what they say about the game. Become the most celebrated detective of all time, Sherlock Holmes. Use your impressive talents as a detective to solve 6 thrilling and varied cases. Murders, missing persons, spectacular thefts, and numerous investigations that sometimes lead you into the realms of the fantastic. So notice it says 6 thrilling cases. Yes, they are all thrilling, but there's only 6 of them. You would be surprised how long you take on each case, so it's not that bad, but this is certainly not a game that lasts long. You finish it fairly quickly, and then you can go back and replay the missions that you made mistakes on or got wrong. So let's just finish what it says here about this game. Will you follow your moral compass, or will you apply the letter of the law? The great freedom of action in crimes and punishments allows you to conduct your investigations in the manner you deem appropriate. Use the 14 extraordinary skills of detection for which Sherlock is famous. Choose the avenues of inquiry you wish to pursue. Interrogate your suspects and, from your deductions, name the guilty parties. You can even determine their fate. The ramifications are far-reaching, and your decisions will exert a real influence through your reputation or the surprising consequences that will arise where you least expect them. Interesting. Okay, so let's get on to the review proper. So, this game seems to use the same software engine from either Dishonored 1 or 2, hence the graphics are first class. So yeah, the graphics engine on Sherlock Holmes Crime and Punishment is very similar to Dishonored, even the font and the lettering style, direct from the team who did Dishonored. There's definitely seems to be a bit of borrowing maybe. And yeah, that's probably a good thing, because Dishonored is a good game. This game certainly doesn't struggle for graphics. All the characters' faces are very clear and impressive. You can see down to the pores on Sherlock's famous hook nose. So I was not sure what to expect, having played older Sherlock games that ran in a point and click manner. This is not the case here. This is a visually stunning game, as I mentioned, and minus the open world explanation, is very similar to LA Noire. So yeah, I mean, it is like, this is the closest you're going to get to LA Noire in terms of quality. There are other detective games, but they don't really stand up to those two. These are the best, I would say. So, as I said, to compare this game to LA Noire, I find one of this to be just a little bit less detail in the sense of the bigger picture. Environment, size, and open world sandbox, but on case-by-case basis, much more detailed. So yeah, there's more clues to find. Every character, when you're questioning them, like there's 5 or 6 clues that just come from looking at their end of their nose, which is a bit weird, but I guess Sherlock, obviously, he's like this legendary guy who figures who's got brilliant sight for that kind of stuff. So yeah, in LA Noire you can solve cases relatively fast most of the time, whereas Sherlock works in a more episodic or serial style. So it's best to play this when you have at least an hour free or more. The cases involve a lot more evidence, and getting a high score or correct conclusion is tricky. It helps you to have a bit of momentum, and going back over your casebook is necessary if you want to get it all right. On the other hand, you are not forced to get everything right all the time. So you can actually choose who to convict via the what they call the deductions. I think if you buy the game you'll understand how the deductions work. And of course, yeah, there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways to solve a lot of the cases. That's good. I mean, you can pick what you think. I found that I got about half wrong, half right. So they're not particularly easy. So achieving the very best ending to the game will need to get each case correct 100%, but making mistakes is fine too, and is up to each person, as in you, the player. The game even rates your style as a detective. I was referred to as sympathetic. Well, I was sympathetic until I decided to convict one of them. That's another thing I found interesting about this game is, even when you've proven a guy to be a murderer, it gives you the option to kind of gloss over and let them get away with it, kind of, which I don't know, mixed feelings about. I think, like, your emotions, you don't want to be mean. If you're a kind person, you will want to absolve them. But at the end of the day, murder is murder, for whatever excuse it is. You know, you're only hearing their side of the story. The dead tell no tales. Now, this is sort of getting off the review, but a lot of people seem to, because it shows you percentage, a lot of people were like forgiving the people or giving them a less sentence. Yeah, it's fiction, so it's fine, but in the old days, you know, in Victorian Britain, if you're guilty of murder, you're going to swing. So it's slightly different, but hey.
Holmes, my God. Yes. We found him like that. Messing around with the ventilation system.
It does use some stylistic license, and a lot of the cases have a slightly supernatural feel, thinking like Hound of the Baskervilles. So the guy who wrote Holmes was actually Arthur Conan Doyle, who was actually interested in the supernatural and used to hold seances with other quite well-to-do Victorian people. So yeah, there's a lot of historical references in this, and that's kind of neat. They're mostly pretty well observed. And you actually do learn things in this. There's a few little like items that people used in Victorian times that make you think, oh wow, you maybe didn't see it at school or in a museum. So yeah, a game that entertains and teaches, not too often, to be honest. So yeah, the character Sherlock, he looks similar to how I pictured him in the novels. Watson is ever present and ever useless at being a detective. Conan Doyle was a trendsetter himself and was interested in the supernatural.
What kind of problem that they didn't say?
That is interesting. You mentioned a problem at Bridlington Station. I should like to visit it. Thank you. Is there something...
So any bad points? Well, Sherlock stories are pretty sensational, so 2 other cases in the game. Crimes that in the past would have meant the perp would hang. You have to be kind because there is so much doubt. Each case is designed so that a number of people could be the man or woman you're looking for. This is not really a problem for me, just remember to suspend disbelief at times. I do like a game that does not hold your hand too much, and this is a smart man's game for me. It does require critical thinking, and there are also puzzles that can be very tricky. However, you can just skip through all of these challenges by pressing space. Now, I made a conscious decision not to do this because, why would you skip a challenge? Some of them are a bit fiddly. You have to undo lots or, make molds out of bits of block, but you shouldn't have the option there, or at least you could have the option there if on easy mode, because even games like the new version of Monkey Island, right? If you don't know what to do, you can check, the game will tell you. So as long as that's there, it's kind of tempting to cheat, which isn't a good thing. because I believe in like trying to figure things out with your own initiative. If I get stuck on a game really badly, I probably just put it down, never finish it. That's just me. Overall, this game is pretty easy to play but hard to master. It has a lot of content, but as far as I can tell, no DLC, so there is potential for maybe some extra cases or mods. It is a fun game to play, and considering it's not a game made by a huge or well-financed team, it comes up trumps. The basic aesthetics, including movement, are pretty good. Nothing spectacular, but okay. Being able to choose between first and third person is good because I prefer first person, being an FPS fan, whereas some people might like third person. So yeah, for £20 you won't be disappointed. At the same time, this is not really a game of the year candidate. You can play right through and enjoy it. It is a good genre with a lack of budget releases. So if you like playing detective, you'll love this game. The series has a charm like no other, and here we can enjoy it in the form of a modern 3D game. So yeah, for Sherlock Holmes fans, this game's got to be a must. I mean, it's a good game even if you don't have a clue who Sherlock is. So, the only down points, as I said, is that the game offers to kind of solve the case for you, which you don't need a nanny, you know, it's Sherlock Holmes, it's not Mary Poppins. Okay, but the other thing, the cases are a bit short, but there is actually a sequel out there that for a similar price give you a few more cases to solve. So yeah, I mean, I think for what it is, it's a really good game. Definitely worth a few hours play. I'd give this a 8 out of 10 overall. I think just lacking in a few little places, but overall pretty good. So let's just read that bit again.